Let's resume the meeting. Tony, could you please call roll?
Jimenez. Morales.
Here.
Yep.
Present.
Roscoe. Davis.
Here.
Esparza. Arenas.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Camus.
Here.
Jones.
Present.
Ricardo.
Present, thank you. Item 3.7 is the amendment to the declaration suspending enforcement, certain provisions and land use permits and approvals, and San Jose Municipal Code issued June 4th, 2020, relating to alfresco. I don't believe there's a presentation. Is there, Blage?
No, there isn't, Mayor.
Here for questions. Thank you for being here. We'll go first to the public and see if there are any questions or comments on this item, which is item 3.7, the declaration suspending enforcement of land use permit restrictions on outdoor activity. Okay, so we'll return now to the council. Are there any questions or comments or motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Let's vote.
Jimenez. Morales.
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Esparza. Arenas.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Camus.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
I'm going to go back to Esparza and Jimenez. Marking absent.
Thank you. On to 3.8, the privacy policy update. I see Andrew is here, and I suspect you're here to give us a presentation. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Yes. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, members of the public. I'm Andrew Eric, Assistant to the City Manager and City Data Analytics Lead. We are here today at the recommendation of the Smart Cities and Service Improvements Committee to recommend that the City Council approve the city's first ever digital privacy policy. We will provide a very brief overview and then look forward to receiving your direction and guidance. So when we talk about privacy at the city, we're talking about protecting types of information that are classified as PII, or personally identifiable information. PII is information that can be used indirectly or directly to identify an individual. And as a city, we consider PII to include the 5 categories of data you see on this slide: personal, sensitive, image, recording, and geolocation data. The policy before you today would cover all of these types of data when they are collected or used by the city. The reason that we care specifically about PII is that information that can be used to identify an individual can also potentially be used for harm. And the adverse effects of the misuse of PII can range from the annoying, for instance, receiving unwanted telephone calls, to the very serious, like discrimination, economic loss, or even physical harm. As a reminder, in large part because of these potential harms, in September 2019, the council passed the City of San Jose's privacy principles, affirming the city's commitment to privacy and affirming that we as a city consider privacy to be a human right. These principles are the first step in the city's journey to protecting privacy, and since their passage, as directed, staff have been working to turn the principles into a policy that can guide city projects, services, and technologies. After researching the landscape of privacy policies around the world, we feel that the best course of action would be to model the San Jose privacy policy after the European Union's privacy policy, which is called the General Data Privacy Regulations, or GDPR. GDPR is a human rights-based privacy framework. It starts from a point like San Jose's principles that privacy is a human right. It was adopted by the European Union in 2016, and it has been effective since 2018. Since that time, in addition to being effective in the European Union, it has been formally and informally adopted by other governments and by companies around the world. So several other cities have also modeled their policies after GDPR, and many companies are taking steps to ensure they are in compliance with GDPR. And so by modeling our policy after GDPR, we can take advantage of best practices already in use around the world, and we can use a framework that many of our government and business partners are already working towards and using in their operations. Of course, in crafting our policy, we wanted to ensure that we adapted GDPR to meet the specific context of San Jose. And so to do that, we consulted with 3 groups in crafting the policy. First was case studies of other cities, most notably Seattle and Dublin, who have privacy programs of their own, and we're grateful to the guidance they've provided us. Second, we've engaged with San Jose's Privacy Advisory Task Force, which is comprised of local and community leaders from the nonprofit sector, technology sector, our government partners, the business sector, and the law enforcement sectors. And finally, to better understand the needs of city departments and offices, we have an internal privacy working group comprised of representatives from departments around the city. Based on those 3 inputs, the policy before you today creates 7 standards for protecting privacy. These standards would be used for evaluating projects, technologies, and services in our city. So if the city were to embark on installing LED lights or smart city sensors around the city, these standards would be used to evaluate and make sure that project protected the PII involved. If the city were to adopt a new transportation planning tool, same thing. These standards would be used to evaluate the privacy implications of that. The idea is that they provide a consistent way to evaluate projects and ensure that we are protecting the personally identifiable information of our community as we are providing services. If council decides to adopt this policy, the next step would of course be implementation, putting in place the processes to do this evaluation for projects and technologies across our city and our community. We just want to note tonight that based on our case studies of other cities, implementation of a privacy is a heavy lift that must be budgeted and planned for. And we've learned from Seattle and Dublin what that lift looks like for them. Each of those 2 cities, after implementing their privacy policy, have committed 4 full-time staff in addition to departmental staff over a period of years to policy implementation. And we anticipate that full implementation in our city would require similar amounts of resources. And so we expect, council should expect conversations in future budget processes around the needs for implementation of this policy. To conclude, I'll note that passage of a digital privacy policy would be an exciting step for San Jose. It would allow us for the first time to put in place a framework to consistently and clearly evaluate projects to safeguard and protect the enormous trust that the public places in us to deliver services for the community. And before I close, I just want to thank some folks who have been instrumental in this. First, as I mentioned, the community leaders on our Privacy Advisory Task Force, who have been really instrumental in advising us and helping us get to this point. I'd also like to thank Clay Gardner from the mayor's office, who has brought his creativity and insight to this effort and has been fantastic. Sarah Zarate, Jay Guevara, and Dolan Beckel from the city manager's office, who helped the city to take the first steps on this journey and deserve enormous credit. And lastly, I want to thank our former privacy policy analyst, Sarah Papazaglakis, who did a lot of the work that you see here and without whose dedication we would not be here today. So with that, I will close and we stand ready for your questions.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks for all your hard work on this. I know this is an effort we undertook several years ago, I think before you got into the role. So I appreciate you bringing it home. I really also want to thank Marcelo Pareto and Rob Lloyd, all the work that you guys have invested in. Kip Harkness, of course. Appreciate you acknowledging Clay and his work, and certainly Jordan and folks on our team. I know Shireen was pushing on this long ago. And all those folks who've been serving on the Privacy Task Force Advisory board, and forgive me for not knowing everyone's name, but I know a wide variety of organizations. And we're represented with a lot of insight and good advice and guidance for us, ranging from Cisco to NAACP to San Jose State University to Stanford to the County of Santa Clara and the ACLU. So great to have so many folks deeply committed to this work, and I'm glad we've gotten to this point. This is important for us as a really necessary foundational step for us, a building block for all the other work we want to do, because we know it gets a lot harder if you're not if you don't have a clear policy in place. So let's go to the public now. See if anyone has any comment on 3.8, the privacy policy update. Samina, welcome.
Yes, hello, my name is Samina Usman. I'm the Government Relations Coordinator for the Council on American Islamic Relations. As I have spoken before on the other times that this issue has come before the City Council, while I am excited about the new technology and new, innovative solutions brought to the city, I am concerned, though, that this privacy policy doesn't really have a surveillance ordinance as we define it in the civil rights community. We would like to see that there is a surveillance ordinance which would be in place to allow for the City Council to be voting on whatever surveillance technologies are brought before the city, and also that the community would have the ability to weigh in on this. The other thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that I was looking through the documents and I saw that it has information about predictive policing tools and also biometric surveillance. I'm concerned that I don't want our city to turn into, like the real life version of the Minority Report, where you're going to be predicting crimes before they happen. And I feel that there's a lot of room for error for this, and I'm very concerned about that and the privacy of our community. That being said, as how I've mentioned before, that the Muslim community has been the target of surveillance and of monitoring by different agencies and including even local city councils, and we've seen a terrible local city police officers, and we've seen the worst that I know of so far is of with the New York Police Department spying on the Muslim community, and it ended up resulting in no positive hits. So again, I want to make sure that we have that this will work towards having a surveillance ordinance in place, that we do not have predictive policing, and we also do not have facial recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. Blair Beekman.
Thank you. Life is a lot different than just several years ago. The goal at this time is to leave the opaqueness and secrecy of war, and for more open discussion and debate in a community to be allowed towards a shared middle ground. Supervisor Joseph Sabidian and staff in Santa Clara County government have done an incredible job to label and itemize how technology and its data will be used, stored, and shared for Santa Clara County equipment with the ACLU Surveillance Technology Safety Ordinance. These are ideas that through open public policy and better reasoned democratic practices, civil rights, and civil protections, this is how to build the ideas of peace and a more positive, sustainable community and future. And from this, how both the everyday public and local government can know how to better ask questions of policy together. Simple open cybersecurity policy ideas need to be reconsidered as part of this decent and fair process in designing good technology policy practices for the future. To note, the ideas of better public accessibility with cybersecurity policy is being fully worked on by Eastern European countries and the UN at this time. The ACLU has been developing many ideas, guidelines, and state California legal precedents. These ACLU ideas are good rules of the road that can work towards a one person, one voice ideal of local community democracy at this time. Open public policy ideas, human rights, and civil protections with the internet and IoT can be of important help in the future of everyday community work of equity and reimagine. You have developed a new staff that seems to understand these concepts and knows how to better talk about openness and community more than the staff of previous years. Thank you. To conclude, these are the efforts along with other U.S. communities that can eventually make important demands of peace, caring, and better practices at the national and international level. A final reminder, all parts of the technology process and the future of a community can work towards the country's good democratic ideals. Thank you.
Thank you. Victor Sin.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor
Good
and
evening.
council members.
Good
My
evening.
name is Victor Sin. I'm the chair of the Santa Clara Valley chapter of the ACLU of Northern California. San Jose's work on digital privacy issues stemmed from concerns of dragnet surveillance, such as drones in 2014 and smart street lights in 2017. This policy does not appear to be adequately responsive to the public's concern with that type of data, which directly implicates their privacy rights. The policy states that this is a framework for city departments to observe when information systems or other applications and forms collect the public's personally identifiable information. So, do information systems include surveillance technologies like drones, facial recognition, etc.? The policy also exempts police departments from the notice requirements. We could not locate any general surveillance use policies that apply to police departments and are concerned that in exempting it, the city is failing to address the very police surveillance that catalyzed digital privacy efforts. The policy identifies a broad exception for data collected as part of emergency response efforts. We would encourage the city to define more narrowly the emergency situations. For example, an emergency involving imminent danger of death or serious physical injury. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ethan Gregory Dodge.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the time. I share very similar concerns. I'm the founder of an organization called the Citizens Privacy Coalition of Santa Clara County. We believe that this policy is a step in the right direction, but that the city has a long way to go. There are a lot of racial biases in technologies that the city is going to be deploying with the smart city efforts. And as Victor pointed out, there is an exemption for the police department in this privacy policy that they can collect this data, and we're extremely concerned that this is going to enable mass surveillance. I think it's extremely telling that Victor Sin, who is on this privacy task force, is concerned about this privacy policy. So, like I said, it's a very small step in the wrong direction, in the right direction, excuse me. But the city has a long way to go. I actually wanted to specifically address facial recognition surveillance really quick. I did this in the last council meeting that I attended. San Jose is actually behind the times compared to other major cities in the Bay Area. San Francisco, Alameda, Berkeley, Oakland have all banned the use of facial recognition, also Portland, Oregon. I actually emailed every single one of you this morning about making a proposal to ban the technology in San Jose. I would love to hear back from any of you and talk with to any of you about moving forward with that. We're just concerned that the San Jose Police Department has shown interest in using facial recognition surveillance in the past. I have the records to prove it, and we're just concerned that along with this privacy policy and no ban on the technology that we're going to be enabling, racist mass surveillance. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, returning to the council. I want to thank again everyone for their hard work on this. I have one question and then one observation. I know we've got to find a way to actually fund this work going forward, particularly the position of privacy officer, which I think Andrew's handling with a lot of other duties. And my recollection is the Knight Foundation has a particular interest in this. Are we talking to Knight now about supporting this work?
I'll take a shot at that, and then others can weigh in. I think the short answer is yes. I think the Knight Foundation is interested in this work, and I don't think we've yet made specific proposals to them about funding particular parts of it, but if we did, I think they may be receptive.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. I understand I don't want to put people in a tough spot because obviously those conversations still have to happen. I just know that obviously the community wants us to go much further, or many members of the community would like to see us pushing further. I appreciate their interest in having us do that. We have very limited bandwidth because unlike those other cities that have 4 staff members that do nothing but privacy, which must be a nice world to live in, we continue to be the most thinly staffed city hall of any major city in the country. So we've got to focus. So yeah, I'm happy to offer our offices in support of your efforts to seek outside grant funding. I did want to make a very small modification to the policy. I know a lot of folks are interested in, everything from banning facial recognition to a policy regarding surveillance technology. I think it would be helpful simply to have a very blanket, explicit statement within that exception around emergency responders, where it currently, has some language and then says something along the lines of whenever possible, our emergency responders will attempt to honor the city's privacy principles. I think we should also include a sentence that would read, as an example, emergency responders must abide by constitutional privacy standards articulated in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, so that it's clear to everybody we've got a very clear floor, and we expect we're going to be abiding by constitutional privacy standards. That doesn't take a lot of research for us to do, because I know every police officer is trained to search and seizure and other relevant issues. So I would ask the maker of the motion to consider adding a sentence similar to the one I just described, and hopefully at least that will give us a bit of a small step toward the direction that folks would like to see us moving in to establish some basic standards in that space. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor, and happy to explicitly state that we need to follow the Constitution in the motion that I'm about to make. But before that, I have a couple of questions, and I completely. First of all, I want to thank Andrew and the team for working on this. We've been talking about a privacy policy for many years, and I'm sure Councilmember Camus will tell us exactly how many years, since he predates me on the council. And I'm glad that we're finally at this point. I fully understand the need to want to go farther in terms of privacy for the individual. I also take a researcher's view of it, and as a council member, a practical view of it. And so I have a couple of questions in those areas, wanting to balance the individual's need for privacy with a couple of other things. First of all, services. I just want to make sure that we say this explicitly. It's not included in the exceptions, but Andrew, is there still an ability for staff like council offices to coordinate and discuss specific cases with someone like someone from Parks, for example, or from code enforcement, and to give that personally identified information among across offices, I guess, and for them to share with us when we're talking about a case that was referred? So how does the privacy policy impact that work?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. Thank you, council member. So the policy, of course, does not prohibit collection or sharing of information. It just puts in place standards for ensuring that that information is not misused or misshared. So we would apply those standards, and I think it probably would not prohibit sharing information securely amongst city staff or elected officials, certainly. But the point of the policy is to make sure that we have standards in place to look at that.
Great, thank you. And I would just like to ask Tony, when you're working on your trainings for the 18th floor and council member staffs, to incorporate the privacy policy for items that may be impacted for I guess workflows that might be impacted by this privacy policy on a go forward basis, so that we can all understand and our staffs can understand what exactly is meant by this, and what we can and cannot share across departments and maybe outside the city with others, just to make sure everybody is clear going forward, because we are now setting a standard. So thank you for that, Andrew. And then secondly, I see I read the section confidentiality, anonymity, and open government standards, and I think this speaks to it, but it's not precisely clear. It talks about anonymizing, de-identifying, or pseudonymizing, I think is the way you say that, personally identifying information so that it can't be related back to a given individual. And I just want to ensure, because I think this is in our principles, but I just want to ensure that we're clear, because these kinds of things will go to the city attorney's office when a researcher requests data. And I've been on the research request side of that, and that statement can be taken very, very granularly and used basically not to share information, when we have made it clear in our principles that we do want to continue to work with researchers, not only to enlist research help, but also to be responsive to researchers in a way that will advance policy improvement, right, over time through quantitative and qualitative analysis. So when we're talking about anonymizing or pseudo-anonymizing, I'm just going to say it that way, or de-identifying data, that we don't do it in a way that precludes putting multiple data sets together across different departments, for example. And I know we used to talk about a data lake. We haven't talked about that in a very long time, where you would have a very large data set. Sorry for getting super wonky to everybody who's not interested in this topic, but I just want to, Andrew's giggling at me. Thanks, Andrew. But I
like it too.
I want to make sure that we can be responsive to researchers, because we can't right now today say exactly what a researcher might want to look at and put together to create a data set that crosses boundaries. For example, just to use my own example, where we might want to look at what happened at my residence with public works and with street improvements and with small cell permits, for example. And we might want to have all of that information. And there are 3 discrete boxes of information. And if we anonymized each one using a different algorithm, then you couldn't tie them all together to say this is what happened at this address over the last 5 years, for example. And that's just off the top of my head. So this is a long-winded way of saying, do we need to add a sentence making that clear here, so that when our city attorney's office goes to the policy, when a research request comes in, it's really clear that we want not to necessarily err on the side of the researcher, but also not to preclude putting data sets together.
Yep. So thank you, council member. I think it's a well-taken question and a good point. The policy is not meant to prohibit data sharing with researchers or with external folks, because that's extremely valuable. It is meant to obviously put in place a standard and an expectation that information be anonymized where possible, and where that anonymization would not get in the way of that particular research. And there are great tools out there from institutions like MIT and Google and folks who have really put a lot of work into thinking about privacy to basically propose and give us ways to do that in a way that is safe and anonymizes the data without taking away its power. So one of the things that we would want to do in implementation, and one of the reasons that Seattle and Dublin have put in place these resources, is to put in place those technologies that help with data sharing in a safe way.
Yes, and this policy would clarify that we would be expecting researchers not to be releasing data in any way that would violate the privacy principles that we have. So the terms of our sharing with them would be consistent with these, so that while in their research there might be some things that they are doing, that they would not be releasing any PII or anything that could be linked back together to feel a violation of the privacy along the principles that we're suggesting.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I just want to also just put out there, so I've encountered a lot of different, in my past life as an education researcher, a lot of different legal departments at different state education departments. And the idea of this phrase in such a way that it can no longer be related back to a given individual can be taken very, very literally when you're getting sometimes millions of data records, and there would be, you can find a completely unduplicated record, but you would have to be searching for that particular record in order to actually identify it and go looking for that one individual. I used to say, looking at the California test score data, I couldn't even find my own children. Without knowing I know all of their variables, but I would have to know their test score in order to find them. That was how it was de-anonymized to that level. But at the same time, we still had issues with the California Department of Education, as just an example. And so I'm concerned about when I read that the phrase in such a way that it can no longer be related back to a given individual, that the city attorney's office or a lawyer who looks at this, who hasn't ever gotten a huge data file, would understand what that means for the researcher. So I guess I want to make sure, Andrew, that you've given that thought, and I still think there maybe needs to be a sentence or two in the policy that makes it clear that we don't want to err on that extreme caution side of not working with researchers, and that's not the intent here. Because I know our attorney's office is very conservative, and I understand that they don't want us to get in trouble. But I've encountered that again from the other side, and it precludes very good and very important research on, for example, in my case, educational equity, and not releasing that data prevented that research from happening for many years. And so I don't want us to get into that issue, especially as we're talking about equity, that we could get into that problem.
If I could, council member, I think this is exactly the reason that we wanted to bring this to the full council for policy direction. So if there are pieces to the policy that you, as a whole, think should be called out or emphasized, we can take that direction back and incorporate that into the next iteration of the policy. I will say the policy is meant to be iterative by definition, and we will be learning from it. But obviously, if the council as a whole feels strongly about something like that, that's exactly why we're here today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm happy to make the motion to accept staff recommendation, and then also to include a statement within the emergency responder exception per the mayor's direction to say that emergency responders must, of course, abide by protections provided in the, at minimum, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th amendments of the U.S. Constitution. I think I've got those all down, Mayor. And then I'd also like further recommendation to staff to clarify within the policy itself that nothing in this policy precludes working with individual researchers or research groups that want to advance policy improvement through quantitative and qualitative analysis.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilor Camus.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Davis. I know that our future researchers will appreciate your expertise in the data analysis. I have to tell you that I do have a depth of knowledge on this issue. And I recall that I remember maybe 6 years ago trying to get it on priority setting. It didn't make it, but staff did bring it forward when I was on PISFIS, when AnyCom was being proposed, AnyCom, and I ended up voting no because we didn't have a data policy, but it actually highlighted the need for a data policy, and I really appreciate the staff took up the ball and ran with it. I mean, there's a whole group of people from Kip to Rob to, I lost track of how many people were involved in this process, but I want to thank you all for your dedication to making sure that this went over the finish line. And I know that this job isn't finished because I still have questions remaining as well. And I'm going to be supporting the motion. Like today, we realized that people can analyze our poop and find out if we have COVID. I mean, I don't know where technology is going to go. I literally
very anonymized.
That is true.
It's anonymized until it isn't, but I appreciate that. So I hope you continue this effort. I know that you're obviously collecting data, and some people's information is very valuable. And I appreciate the work that's being done. And I know this isn't the last time this policy is going to be up for review. And thank you for the effort.
Thank you, Councilmember. And the good news is we finally got a policy under your tenure.
Yeah, one question I do have, if we do, I think some of the people who spoke up about facial recognition and all that, if we are going forward with a technology like this, wouldn't it have to go through City Council, at least in closed session or something, before we approve it? Don't we have to pay for it somehow?
Well, we've already approved something at the airport.
Yeah, at the airport. Yeah, we approved it, but that was publicly discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that there is some transparency in the decisions that we make. We do take it to the public before we make those decisions. And I want to be clear that we don't make decisions in a vacuum. Just for those who are listening, many of the things that we implement go through everything that costs money goes through City Council and it gets voted on. And that's a great way to keep tabs on what's happening in our city. And thank you again.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's vote on Councilmember Davis's motion.
Sorry, I couldn't get the mute unstuck. Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas. Arenas is out for the rest of the meeting, by the way. Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move forward then to item, I believe we're on 3.9, which is the status report on the November 2018 ballot Measure T Disaster Preparedness, Public Safety, and Infrastructure Geo Bond Measure, and there is a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Matt Kano, Director of Public Works. I have a brief presentation for you today on Measure T. As you know, Measure T was passed by the residents of San Jose in 2018 to provide up to $650 million for public safety and infrastructure improvements in our city. And we all have a very strong obligation to deliver on the promises we made to the residents in 2018, and we're making great progress so far. In this current CIP, we have about $500 million of that $650 million program. and about 146 million of that in this current fiscal year. We've had 2 very productive meetings with our Community Oversight Committee, 12 seats of which are filled and 3 vacant positions. And we had a meeting on December 3rd to review the latest audit results, and we'll be reporting back to the Mayor and City Council on the Community Oversight Committee's findings in January, February timeframe of next year. One area of Measure T, the biggest actual single area, is street repairs. Under the leadership of our Department of Transportation, we've been making great progress on this so far. 37.5 million approximately per year for the next 8 years. In the current calendar year, about 72 miles will have been resurfaced with Measure T funding, and a lot more miles overall with other funding sources, as is detailed in our report. Another category in Measure T is bridge repair and rehabilitation. $20 million in total is programmed in this category. However, we are working to leverage about $61 million of additional funding for this category through the Federal Highway Bridge Program Grant Fund. We've so far, as shown in the table here, completed 27 smaller bridge treatment projects in this year, and we have 18 more of those projects to go by spring 2021. And in the next Measure T report, we'll be starting to talk about those projects that we're going to be programming out for future years under the bridge program. Public safety, another large category in Measure T, includes 5 new or relocated fire stations. Fire Station 37 is under, and Fire Station 20, which is the one at the airport. Those are both under construction. We have site identified by the Mayor and City Council for Fire Station number 8 in the downtown area. And we have Fire Station 32 and 36, which are both in the Council District 7 area. We have sites that we have identified and are under negotiations, and we're hoping to report back to the Mayor and City, or under discussions and or negotiations, and we're hoping to report back to the Mayor and City Council on those sites in early 2021, so over the next few months. We are still looking at some candidate sites for the Fire Station 23 relocation, which is in Council District 4. And so we're working really hard next calendar year to pinpoint that site as well. The PD Training and Academy for the Police Department, we are continuing to search for viable sites to place that facility. And the Police Air Support Unit hangar is currently on hold. It was planned to be rebuilt as part of the facilities reconstructions at the airport. And since the facilities project is on a temporary hold, the air hangar is on temporary hold as well. And we'll revisit that next year pending economic forecasts. Emergency Operations Center, which is being constructed in conjunction with our new Fire Training Center, has an overall budget of roughly $87 million, 25.7 of which is from Measure T. We received bids a few weeks ago for this project, and we are analyzing those bids right now and planning to recommend an award of that project to the Mayor and City Council, likely the second council meeting in January 2021, and complete construction of the entire facility by December 2022. LED lighting is another huge area, important area in Measure T. Overall, there's 36,000 streetlights remaining to be converted, and we're planning on converting 9,000 of those with City Transportation Department staff and 27,000 of those through a turnkey agreement with PG&E, and that work is starting in the next few weeks, actually. And we are planning on reinitiating a procurement for smart controllers for the LED lights in the next, as we move forward. City facilities and parks, we are working on converting all of the LED lights in the city facilities and parks and trails by 2024. I do want to be clear, though, that as noted in the memo, most of the Measure T money has been, we were directed a few reports ago on Measure T to really focus on parks and trails as a priority, and we plan on finishing those in the next year to year and a half. And that likely will use a lot of the Measure T lighting money. And so for some of our other city buildings and maintenance yards and such, we will continue to look at other funding sources or on-bill financing avenues in the future. We are working on the controller for the procurement for the controllers for the LED lighting, LED, the controller procurement for the facilities LED lights as well with the finance department. So that's moving forward right now. And another category is the clean water and green infrastructure categories. We have $25 million for clean water and green infrastructure. We are working right now on the River Oaks Pump Station project, and we are starting a process to identify the other projects that we'll be able to do with that $25 million in green infrastructure. And we'll have some community outreach on that in the likely February timeframe, and reporting back to the Transportation and Environment Committee around April, and then in May or June coming to City Council with the specific project recommendations on that for additional green infrastructure projects. And then the Charcot Storm Drain Improvement Project is another, we have $35 million allocated for that. And as opposed to building a pump station, we have identified a better solution that we've been coordinating with the Valley Water, where we would essentially have a piping system to shift that water over into Cuddy Creek as opposed to building a large pump station. And that is expected to generate some project savings as we've identified in our report. We expect the project overall to cost under $30 million. And with that, we'd be happy to address any questions you have. We don't have any specific recommendations in this report other than just ask you to accept the report that we're presenting to you today.
Great, thanks, Matt.
Move approval.
I heard a motion. Is there a second? Okay. Trying to pull up members of the public right now. Mr. Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. In some early gestures towards public oversight with the future of community technology, it seems public oversight ideas with Measure T will take at least a few more years to settle into its initial intentions as public oversight to monitor the accounting issues of Measure T, leaving another several years before settling into what seems only half-hearted goal of technology public oversight with Measure T. As there are currently 3 city government review boards to address technology projects and practices, can work begin to consider a public oversight board that can address openness and accountability issues in the future of community technology, surveillance, and data collection policy practices and projects, and that can possibly work to also address some community law enforcement issues as well. Thank you for this issue. From the last item, it was nice to hear Councilperson Camus, talk about years of wanting to develop good practices. He mentioned the term data privacy. He seemed to say something of which is a much more interesting concept than just saying privacy policy. Because myself, I really like the ideas of open public policy that talks about, surveillance technology that's out on the street that the police will be using and that you're trying to better address now. There's open public policy, there's data privacy policy. I think we may have to learn to expand the word privacy policy. And you want to review things at this time, review the Sunshine Ordinance ideas of 2007 and 8. Those are really good things. And also review the beginning stages of drone policy and drone work in 2014. That should very much address these civil rights and civil protection questions you're asking that, I hope you're going to turn the tide and work towards civil protection ideas at this time. Thank you.
And thank you. All right, back to the council. Councilmember Camus.
Yes, I just had 2 quick questions. I appreciate Matt Cano's efforts on this. And number one, I was, considering that we had so much emergency things happen in the last couple of years. Do we have enough allocated to the Emergency Operations Center? Do you feel that there's enough going into that?
Yes, Councilmember Camus, thank you very much for the question. And we actually have a table in the memo with our funding plan for the EOC, and we feel very comfortable that we have enough money to award the project. We received bids a few weeks ago, again, that we're still evaluating, but they appear to be within our budget. And so we're reporting back officially to make that recommendation in January.
Okay, great. And I know that you like to make sure that people don't fall asleep reading the reports with too many drill downs. I appreciate that. But is there a more detailed report of where the, like dollars are going to be allocated, that kind of thing, that either council or the public could be privy to?
Yes, there is. Thank you for that question. We have the audit of that was prepared for the Community Oversight Committee is available. We reviewed it last week, the week before, with the actual Community Oversight Committee, and we'll be in front of you. I think it's in February with that detailed audit report.
Okay, well, I'll miss that one. But thank you again for all your work. Appreciate it.
All right. I don't think there are any other questions, so I think we will entertain a motion to accept the report.
We already have a motion.
Oh, you already have that. I'm sorry. Forgive me. All right, let's vote on the motion then. Thanks.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 3.11 is implementation of service fees on credit card payments.
There's no presentation.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on 3.11 implementation of service fees? I don't see any hands. I just heard a motion. Was there a second?
Second.
All right, from the Vice Mayor, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3.12 is a police retiree member term extension to the board administration. That is on the retirement board.
There's no presentation on this. It really should have been on consent. It's just extending his term because nobody applied for the position.
Yes,
Motion to approve.
Second.
thank you. Let's see if any members of the public would like to speak. I don't see any hands on this item 3.11. And thank you to Nick Muyo for your willingness to continue to serve. Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, 3.13 is Greater Downtown San Jose Economic Recovery Task Force. I see there's a presentation from Councilmember Prowls that's loaded up on the agenda. Did you want to present, Councilmember?
Yes, I did. Thank you. And is staff able to kick off that presentation?
This is Tony. Give me just a second. It took over my screen and I can't get back over to Zoom to hit share screen. There, got it. Are you
Great,
guys
thank
seeing
you.
are you seeing the presentation view?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And I'll kind of prompt you for the slide.
Yes.
Thanks. Right. Well, first off, thank you. And certainly, I was going to say, well, I know we're on a tight schedule today, but we've kind of blown right through being on a tight schedule. So I'll try to zoom through this. There's just 6 slides, and so in the last 3 months, it's certainly been a roller coaster ride for all of us, and and we know undoubtedly for our business community as well. And so in regards to our local businesses and organizations that have been struggling, we've been putting in a lot of work to try and support them through this task force. You can go to slide 2. So one of the things we continued to hear was that business owners in the greater downtown area seek to have their voices heard. And together with over 55 different small businesses and local organizations, we reconvened the Greater Downtown San Jose Economic Recovery Task Force for a second phase. And it was a cross-sector group that elected their own representatives. And as you can see on the slide, we had a very diverse group of participants that represented their sectors well, including our co-chairs, Wisa Uomera from San Jose Taiko and Dahlia Rawson of New Ballet. And a full list of the participating businesses and organizations can be found on the task force letter. You can go to slide 3. So during this second phase of our task force, we expanded from 4 to 8 committees, and we conducted 38 meetings. We worked to include businesses not only in the downtown core, but in the surrounding neighborhood business districts such as Japantown, East Santa Clara, Alum Rock, and the Alameda. And I would be remiss not to mention that this task force was entirely supported and staffed by my team. And I do want to personally take the opportunity now to thank them for their collective efforts. I also want to thank all of our partners who participated as at-large non-voting members. And that includes State Senator Jim Bell's office, State Assemblyman Raj Kalra's office, County Supervisor Susan Ellenberg's office, Blage Zelalic of our downtown manager, Laura Shimaluski from Team San Jose, and a special thanks to Bennett Chang, our Intergovernmental Relations Director, for having participated in the process. You can advance to slide 4. And so speaking of process, as you can see before you, there was, this was a process that our task force underwent, which resulted in a robust package of recommendations for the council that I will outline next. We also sent a separate set of recommendations to the County Board of Supervisors through a collaboration with Supervisor Ellenberg's office and to the State Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, GoBiz, in collaboration with State Assembly Member Ash Kalra's office and our Intergovernmental Relations team. You can advance to slide 5. So for the city recommendations, there are quite a bit, and I'm not going to go into detail on each one. I do want to highlight just a few things, though. A number of the recommendations revolved around next year's budget discussion, and hopefully with federal funding on the way, by then we can explore some creative ideas such as the consumer cash card pilot, like they implemented in Hawaii, or creating additional fee waivers like how San Francisco Mayor London Breed did for the food and entertainment businesses there. The task force asked to explore some form of tax relief for businesses that have already incurred expenses in COVID-related business operations as well. And I also want to commend staff, especially Blage, our downtown manager, and Ed Solis, the PRNS placemaking team, or from the PRNS placemaking team, for their work on the Alfresco program. I have long advocated that closing streets to cars and opening them up to pedestrians and businesses should be more common in an urban environment like downtown. And we should expand the program and ensure it has resources as we move forward. And I certainly hope to see more closures, such as along South First Street in the SoFa district as we enter 2021 and hopefully begin to reopen outdoor dining once again. Parking relief is an ongoing theme in our discussions, and my office has been working with DOT to explore what makes sense without draining our entire parking fund, which a lot of other things depend on. And finally, I heard loud and clear from our task force members the need to place a cap on third-party delivery fee services at 15%. Many are paying 25 to 30% right now, and as we go into this next shelter in place, we know it is even more important because we are no longer allowing the indoor or outdoor dining. I was happy to reconnect with Councilmember Diep over the summer, and although disappointed that that effort didn't make its way out of rules, I'm happy now to be working with the mayor and Councilmember Diep as the plea from the task force has reignited this conversation. And it was also promising to see Supervisor Chavez and submitting a similar proposal at the county. You can advance to the last slide, slide 6. So thank you for your patience. And if anybody would like to learn more about our task force, including all the documents, meeting minutes, and recordings of our meetings, you can visit sjd3.com/DTSJ recovery. And I do ask my colleagues that you approve the memo moving forward, the task force recommendations. And I would like to thank everybody who participated in the task force for speaking up on their needs during these uncertain times. And I'm available for questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And I'll make the motion as well to approve the set of recommendations. Thanks.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we'll go to the public on this item. Nate LeBlanc. Nate, you're still on mute. If you could unmute your device.
Just got there. Thanks, Sam. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Council members, long day today. Spoke at the county twice already today, so just a little bit of Zoom fatigue. Just want to ask that the council please accept the recommendations. I'm Nate LeBlanc, Business Development Manager with the Downtown Association. Many Downtown Association members were key members of the task force. We ask that you respect the opinions of the small business people. This is a great avenue for their voice to get directly to you and to help shape the city's work in helping businesses survive the COVID pandemic. Like to call special attention to the 15% fee cap on third-party delivery apps. It's not something the Downtown Association would normally wade into, but we want to respect the call from our small business members, our restaurant members who've just been hit with another crushing kind of shutdown or move only to delivery or takeout as options, that this is something that can help them try to survive what is sure to be a long and dark winter. Want to thank everyone for their time in putting these recommendations together and ask that the council move the entire package forward so that the work can continue and the task force can feel like their voice has been heard at this level. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate. We'll take that recommendation up tomorrow at Rules Committee. Dahlia Rawson. Welcome, Dahlia.
Hi, yes, I'm Dahlia Rawson. I'm the director of New Ballet, and I was also one of the co-chairs of the task force. And thank you, Mayor and council members, for considering today's recommendations from Councilmember Perales and the task force. Local businesses and organizations in the greater downtown area continue to struggle throughout this pandemic, more now than ever, with the regional stay-at-home order in full effect. And the task force recommendations are crafted from an inclusive process and would provide short-term relief and long-term strategies to sustain our economic and cultural hub. Especially for performance venues, we really need help in looking at what the future is going to look like. So I really ask that you you approve these recommendations. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, back to the council. Councilmember Carrasco.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I just want to applaud Councilmember Perales's efforts here. This started months ago when he took the initiative to start the task force, and I know it was out of a lot of frustration. Excuse me. Out of a lot of frustration, I shared the same frustration, and as a result, I headed up the Equity Health Task Force, and he was instrumental in getting some of those recommendations to the city and to the county. But this is I think we're in such a unique moment in time where we're trying to be creative and innovative, where we're trying to be inclusive and really get to the table with different ideas on how we wrap our arms around each other to try and survive one of the most stark moments in modern history. We just don't have the answers. And so I want to thank you for your leadership, Councilmember Perales, and also very grateful for all of the input of all your businesses in the downtown, in the core of San Jose. We know how vital they are to the economy of the city, but also in terms of bringing in folks from outside of the city who are interested in what we're doing. And, you know, they're just such a critical part of the future and how we're going to recover. So we have to do everything and anything that we can to help them survive. I've said the same thing about the businesses in my district, and Councilmember Esparza's really in every corner of the city of San Jose. This is going to be, as I've said, all hands on deck to try and really figure this out. I don't have the answers, and I'm hoping that, we're going to be able to put all our heads together to see how we help keep these doors open. And of course, we're shutting down again. There's no indoor dining. There's no outdoor dining. It's just pickup. And it's going to be a long, very cold winter. We need to promote our businesses and have to do everything we can to keep them alive, so that when we come out of this stay-at-home order, or if it becomes a shelter in place, I'm not real sure what the differences and the nuances of those two, but when we do come out of it, our businesses are still there, and they continue to provide the vitality and the economic engine that they are for the city of San Jose. So thank you, Councilmember Perales, for sticking with it and making sure that our businesses have a voice at the table, and very happy to support your recommendations. That's it, Mayor.
Sorry about that. I was on mute myself. Okay, move. Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. I really appreciate the recommendations and your task force, Councilmember Perales, and all the work that you've done and committed to working to preserve our businesses downtown. But I have some questions regarding the 15% fee, and that is how it relates to a regional component. When the city of San Jose imposes a fee or restricts a fee, our neighboring cities aren't necessarily. So I understand that Uber Eats in particular, has an algorithm that they use that when you search, for example, Mexican restaurant, you'll get the Mexican restaurant that isn't necessarily closest to you. You'll get the one with the highest fees, and then they'll be delivered. It's more it's more defined by whether you have franchises than individual businesses, which is what you have downtown a lot of. But I'm concerned about imposing a fee restriction on a city when it should be a regional approach or even a state approach. I heard you mention that the county is looking at the 15% cap too. Can you tell me where that stands? How far is the county is along with this? Because actually, I think this is where that point rests.
Was that a question for me?
Yeah, for whoever might be able to answer, how far along is the county on approving that?
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to phone a friend as well. So I'm only aware of the fact that it's been presented. So I don't know exactly where it's at. I don't, yeah, so maybe if somebody from staff has a better answer.
Okay, thanks. Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know it was introduced. I suspect there are going to be real challenges about the position of that beyond unincorporated areas. So the Rules Committee will be considering our own proposal, actually something Councilor Dieppe argued we should do many months ago, and we've now revived.
So
yeah, and if I could, Councilmember, so we'll have to kind of get an update from the county. Just want to note that we're not approving that tonight.
Okay.
There's an item at Rules tomorrow, and then ultimately that item would come to council specifically to decide what to do.
So just to clarify then, what we're really approving is staff exploring, moving forward and seeing if it's viable. Is that?
You're approving the task force recommendations.
Okay. And then Rules, I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to what Rules is looking at tomorrow, but you're looking at something that takes this in that item into consideration that might be moving forward to council later.
Yes, Councilor Dieppe had proposed something similar several months ago. Since that time, and obviously with the second shutdown order, it gave new reason for us to do something to try to support struggling restaurants. And we've now had additional outreach in the industry. And Joel on our team has been working very closely with them to make sure we can impose a mandate in a way that doesn't shut down delivery to some of the far-reaching parts of the city. That's what we're concerned about, is a fee that would ultimately cut off delivery to places like Evergreen or Alviso that might be far away from the city center.
Or Cambrian.
Or Cambrian. But you got lots of restaurants out there.
I use DoorDash way too much. I'm sorry to say, but it helps me keep knowing that I'm ordering from small businesses when I'm not going out and driving to them and doing the pickup. That's my little way of supporting our local economy. But I'm happy to support this. I think it's really a good step forward, and I look forward to the work as it comes down further. Some of these things are our state approach, or may require a state legislation in order to implement, but I really appreciate what you have done, Councilman Perales, and working together to help improve the economy downtown and hopefully throughout the rest of the city and our restaurants throughout the city. But thank you. And I'm happy to support it. That's it for me.
Thank you. Any other comments, Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, I think I did get a brief update that the county did vote today to try and expedite their approval on the 15th of their policy. But as you point out, Mayor Liccardo, beyond the unincorporated areas, I'm not certain where else that'll have some jurisdiction. But indeed, as the memo that you have with Councilmember Diab coming tomorrow, we'll have our own further discussion on this item. So, and I obviously look forward to that, and I think there'll be a lot more policy discussion as what you're talking about right now, Councilmember Foley. I just wanted to end in regards to thanking one of our co-chairs that waited through the evening, Dahlia Rawson. I know we had a lot more participants of the task force that had hoped to speak, but obviously we're running a little bit late today. And I'll put a plug in because fortunately, as we heard earlier today, Christmas in the Park, the drive-through version is still going to be open during this holiday season. And you'll actually, as Dahlia's new ballet has been severely impacted, they're not able to do their performances. One of the exciting features for the Christmas in the Park drive-through is actually live ballet performers from New Ballet. And so I'll put a plug in to go out there and go and support not only a great local nonprofit like Christmas in the Park, but they've actually partnered this year with a lot of other local organizations. And so with that, and thank you to my colleagues as well.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, let's vote on the recommendation.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye. Thank you. Item 4.1 are actions related to the 2020 Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force Invited Awards Grant Agreement. I just want to say thanks to San Jose PD and the folks who work on getting this ICAC grant, and even more importantly, the folks who actually do the work with the ICAC grant. I had an opportunity as a much younger prosecutor. Actually, I think it was with the very first ICAC grant that the department got. I worked in the sexual assault unit at the time, and I can tell you what these officers do is incredible online in terms of being able to identify perps who would ultimately be a great threat to our children. And they're able to get them off the street well before anything awful happens. So I think it's money well used. I'm glad we're able to get grant money to do it. I don't believe there's any presentation here. We'll ask to see if there are any members of the public who would like to speak on this item 4.1. This is ICAC grant. I see no hands. Is there a motion or a comment?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Kemmis,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. Thank you. Item 5.1 is an increase to the authority of the Director of Public Works for Menendez San Jose International Airport Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting Facility Station 20 project. There is no report on this. We'll ask to see if there are any members of the public who'd like to discuss item 5.1, the increase in authority of the Public Works Director on this project. I see no hands. Coming back to the council. Did I hear a motion?
Yes, motion from me to approve.
Motion
Second.
from Councilmember Camus, second from Councilmember Foley. Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Kemmis,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. All right, we're rolling now. Item 5.2, it's a potential amendment to the parking agreement with Almaden Corner Hotel LLC. There's no presentation. I see no hands from the public to speak on item 5.2, the potential amendment to the parking agreement with Almaden Corner Hotel. Coming back to the council, Councilmember Morales, was that you about to make a motion?
Yeah, we'll move approval.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Kemmis,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. And whoever that was yawning gets their vote taken away. All right, item 8.1 is Envision San Jose 2040 General Plan Annual Performance Review Report. It's our final item for the evening, and there is a presentation. Rosalind, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Liccardo, City Council, members of the public, Rosalind Huey, Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. Jarrett Hart is prepared to provide the presentation, so I will share my screen now.
All right. Thank you, Rosalind, Mayor and City Council. So today kicks off the 2020 General Plan Annual Review. As part of the process, staff prepares an annual performance review report, which staff is going to summarize this evening. The general plan includes policies to annually evaluate progress on of the plan's strategies and actions as part of the annual review. Which is also when the City Council can consider privately proposed amendments to the general plan. Staff organizes the performance evaluation around the 12 major strategies of the general plan based on the most recent fiscal year. So for this year, the performance review is based off of data from the 2019-2020 fiscal year. This evening, we're going to present a summary of implementation highlights from several of the key strategies. But before diving into the strategies, just want to give a brief update on changes in the city's population, since the general plan plays such a key role in planning for the city's future growth. So since adoption of the general plan in 2011, the city has grown by about 8%, or that's about approximately 80,000 new residents. That said, the city's population growth has slowed over the last couple of years. San Jose's total population, we're currently around 1.05 million residents, but between 2018 and 2020, the population has only risen by about 300 people. The graph on the slide here shows the city's projected population out to 2040 and the current trajectory of our population growth. The flattening population growth in San Jose in the entire Bay Area, because this is not just a phenomenon to San Jose. This is a regional kind of trend. This can be, in part attributed to declining birth rates, as well as a net migration, whereas many residents are leaving the region as they are moving into it. One of the contributors, obviously, with that is the region's high housing and living costs. Next slide. So the general plan's focused growth major strategy focuses new residential and commercial growth capacity in specifically identified growth areas to reduce environmental impacts, improve the city's fiscal health, and support new residential and employment development. The graph here on the slide shows issuance of building permits for single family and multifamily residential units since adoption of the general plan in fiscal year 2011-2012. Since that time, the city's issued almost 25,000 building permits for new housing units. This equates about average production of approximately 3,000 units per year. And of those units, approximately 92% are multifamily units, and 83% of those are within the general plan's designated growth areas. So the next graph here shows square footage of new commercial and industrial and office building permits issued over the same time period. I want to note that the graph here has been updated from Figure 7 in the annual performance review report after relooking at how some of our development data was classified. Commercial activity dropped this last fiscal year, but office development was up. In particular, due to building permit issuance for office towers in the downtown. Of that new space, 75% of new commercial development was constructed in the general plan's designated growth areas, and 71% of industrial and office space was also located in growth areas. So the Regional Employment Center major strategy aims to transform San Jose from a bedroom community into a regional employment center. And it's closely linked with other general plan major strategies and goals aimed at reducing commute times, creating a healthier environment, and improving quality of life, as well as reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. The general plan plans for 382,000 new jobs and aims to reverse the imbalance of jobs to housing by establishing a jobs to employed resident ratio goal of 1.0 by 2025 and 1.1 by 2040. The graph on the slide shows the city's projected job growth out to 2040 and the current trajectory of our job growth. Based on the most current data, the city's jobs to employment resident ratio has been relatively stagnant since 2011 and is currently at 0.81 or 0.81, which really enforces the importance of preserving our existing job base and continuing to attract new jobs to our downtown and other employment centers such as North San Jose. So moving on to our urban village. Urban Village's major strategy. So this strategy promotes economic development, environmental sustainability, and the creation of complete communities through the development of villages across the city that are, attractive, walkable, really mixed-use settings for new housing and job growth, and where people can meet kind of all their daily needs. Thus far, 12 urban village plans have been adopted by council, and 2 are currently in the planning process. All urban village plans involve extensive community engagement and input when developing those plans. In 2021, 3 additional plans will start the public planning process, and an update to the urban village plans around the 28th Street Little Portugal BART station will also be initiated. Currently, 6 signature projects have been approved by the City Council, and 2 are in the pipeline. And also, it's worth noting that 2 signature projects are also under various stages of construction, that being Sparta in Council District 3 and the Orchard in Council District 5. So the destination downtown major strategy supports continued growth in our downtown, really recognizing that downtown being the city's cultural center, and really an important employment and residential neighborhood as well. Since adoption of the general plan, development permits for over 7,500 residential units and almost 5.3 million square feet of commercial space have been approved. Also, the commercial office vacancy rate has significantly declined from where we started, and it's currently at 9.7% compared to over 23% in 2011. So to accommodate proposed and future growth in the downtown, additional growth capacity is recommended to be reallocated to downtown through the general plan 4-year review process. So the slide here gives a breakdown of the types of general plan amendment requests the city has received since adoption of the general plan. Generally, the requests have involved allowing for residential use. As you can see on the stat graph here, it's in the red, gray, and orange shades. There's a trend of employment land conversions to residential designations in the early years of the general plan, which kind of peaked at 2015 and then subsiding by 2018. It's also noteworthy that following 2015, there's been only 3 applications for industrial land conversions, which are prohibited by the general plan. And all proposed industrial to non-industrial use conversions have been either withdrawn by the applicants or denied by City Council. So the table here, this lists the 6 private general plan amendment requests that the council will be considering during this general plan annual review cycle. 5 of them are for land use changes, and 1 is a proposed text amendment to the 5 Wounds Urban Village Plan. And then the next table here shows there's 2 city-initiated general plan amendments that the council will also be considering during the general plan annual review cycle. Both of those are fairly minor text amendments. Staff also wants to note subsequent general plan hearing cycles that will give opportunities for privately initiated general plan amendment requests to be considered by the City Council outside of the typical general plan annual review hearing. The first is an additional general plan hearing cycle to be held annually for non-city initiated amendments for 100% affordable housing projects. So this is a change that was approved by City Council last year. And there will also be an additional general plan hearing cycle in spring of 2021 for non-city initiated general plan amendments that were impacted by COVID-19 and need additional time to get to hearing. So with that concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Jared, thank you very much. Let's go to the community, see if there are any public comments on this item or final item regarding the general plan and our progress. And can I take you back to that slide you just showed around the jobs ratio in the city and our progress over 10 years? Appreciate all the work that goes into this. And I know it's non-exact science and hard to always figure out. But I just wanted to point this out because I know we hear endlessly about how the jobs that we're letting into the city are pushing people out. Could you get that slide back up, Jared?
Mayor, I am working on that right now.
Oh, Rosalind's working on it. Okay, thank you. So it's coming. So I mean, this is really awfully important because the reality is if you look at the last half decade, if anything, we've actually been adding residents more than we've been adding jobs. And that's really important because as we look at this chart, which is really important, particularly the part on the right, talks about jobs per employed resident since 2010, which by the way, was the depth of the Great Recession. And since that time, can we get that back up, please? Thanks. So since that time in 2010, in the depths of the Great Recession, we actually have fewer jobs per employed residents after the great boom of the last half decade. And that's measured in 2019. So that's before the pandemic. So this is really important because there is a narrative out there, and the narrative is very false. The narrative is that somehow or another that San Jose has a jobs first policy, which is pushing out housing and preventing us from being able to meet any housing goals because jobs are coming in, taking over all the housing sites. And the reality is the data is not even close to that. And in fact, we have the lowest jobs to employed resident ratio of any major city in the United States. And by that, I mean, if you look at the top 30 cities in the United States by population, we're number 10. You're not going to find a single one of them that has anywhere near our jobs per employed resident ratio. And it's not a coincidence that we also have the lowest ratio of city employees to population of any major city in the country, because it turns out when you don't have jobs, you don't have much revenue, and it means you can't provide a lot of services to the city. And those services are really valuable when we think about folks who need cops to show up when there's a gang shooting in their neighborhood, or they need gang prevention programs, or they need senior nutrition programs, or after school programs for their kids, or anything else that we think that our residents think is particularly valuable. And so I just think it's important that we at least appreciate what the data shows us. There's no question there's been a huge jobs boom in cities, and frankly, it's much smaller suburbs, right? Like Santa Clara and Sunnyvale and Palo Alto, but it really hasn't happened here. And so I think when we go into, and we talk about, for example, the Google project, and folks are talking about 20,000 jobs, what's that going to do to our city? Well, it's going to increase the number of payroll jobs we have in this city by what looks like to be, just going to do the back of the envelope math here, about 120, yeah, somewhere around, looks like 4% at most, which would be nice because it might actually make that green line be parallel to what population growth has been in this city over the last few decades. We might actually have enough jobs for our residents who are here, which we currently don't if you consider 1.0 being a balance of jobs per employed residents. So, you know, that might help us crawl a little closer toward the 1.0, but not very close. So I just think we need to be really clear with the community about, you know, when we've got opportunities to add a lot of jobs in our downtown, that this is not about chasing people out. The people are being chased out because of growth in a spaceship campus in Cupertino, or what may be happening in Sunnyvale or wherever else, Mountain View. That's been going on for many years, and it hasn't been happening here in San Jose. And in the meantime, we're starving services to the extent that we're not aggressively embracing job growth as well. So I support housing growth. I support job growth. I think we need both to support our city and our community. And I hope that we can take a sober approach going forward. Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things that I noticed in this report is that some items like this one tend to show what is planned, and some items don't show what is planned and just give kind of what happened and what's going forward. So for example, the urban village plans and horizons don't say what the goal would be, either on an annual basis or how many urban villages need to be passed and completely planned. It just says that there are 12 approved plans and what's on the docket, but it doesn't say there are 61 total urban village areas, and you know, we've only done 12, and so we've got 20 years left, and we have 47 that we haven't started. So I would like to make the request to include those benchmarks every year. So not just to give a report on the progress, but also to say what the goal is. So you say it in the RHNA, in this section for housing, it does say what the RHNA goal is, the overall goal, but it doesn't say what the affordable housing goal is and the what the market rate housing goal is in that section. So there just seems to be a little bit of unevenness in the report in terms of giving us that grounding of what we expect. And even in the jobs to employed resident, the graphic has a 1-to-1 ratio if you know your slope, but it doesn't actually, I don't think it says it in the report unless I missed it, that what we were going for is, I think it's 1.1 actually, and not 1.0 in the urban village plan itself. So I'd really like the goals and the metrics to be included and to tell us our progress towards those goals in the annual performance report, as opposed to just telling us what happened. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think so. I think we need a little more clarification. So we don't, yeah, I mean, so I wasn't sure I understood the RENA comment. This is Michael Bria, by the way. We don't have an urban village goal in terms of how many plans we would do.
But we have identified areas, and it didn't say in here that there are 61 urban village plans, and if we wanted to get them all passed by 2040, we're not on track to do that. Because it takes X number of months to pass an urban village plan, and we haven't passed 3 a year since 2011.
Right.
So that's what I'm getting at, is that I understand we don't have benchmarks for everything, but we have an overall, and are we on pace to meet that goal or not?
Yeah. Can I jump in here for just a moment? I think it is important to recognize, at least as they were originally formulated by the General Plan Task Force, there wasn't a goal to actually open up all those villages. The point was that many of those urban villages would remain undeveloped well into the future, because there was a desire to focus on the development of those that were closest to transit in the core. And so there was no schedule and there was no desire necessarily to go get 61 urban village plans done, because the explicit understanding was we're planning for urban villages well in the future, and development shouldn't be happening in a lot of the villages where we haven't taken advantage of opportunities to build near transit.
Yeah, that's correct. And I would say one of the goals, and we can do a better job of explaining this, but the goal was to do the Horizon urban villages, and those are done. So we're now moving on to Horizon 2 urban villages, and we could maybe do a better job of explaining how we're doing and knocking those out. But the original approach was to focus on villages that radiate out from downtown on transit, and we've knocked those out. Those are completed. So, but yeah, we can sort of elaborate on that. But Sam, the mayor's right. I mean, it wasn't necessarily an intention to do the plan for all of them in the time frame of the general plan. There was no statement on that.
And Councilmember Davis, I think also to get to your question, what we can provide is the development program for each urban village, because there is an absolute assigned number of housing units and commercial office square footage. So that's something definitely that we can share with you in the annual report in terms of how many of those units are being entitled, or what our progress is toward building out that commercial square footage. Because I think that gets to your point. Are we meeting the goals of the intended development that we wanted to see in each of the urban villages?
Exactly. Thank you, Rosalind. That's very helpful.
And one thing we can try to do, what we include a kind of executive summary in the urban village, I'm sorry, in the annual review report, where we try to kind of highlight those key metrics. Like we've got the, the 1.1 jobs to employed resident ratio goal, then where we're at, and trying to really highlight those key metrics. So we'll look for ways to improve that as well. It's where we can really bring out, to make sure that it's clear with that we've got our goals listed as well as the metrics, not just the performance.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Davis, is there anything further?
That was it. Thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Diab?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Can we go back to that slide with the land use conversion applications? Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of small from what, let me pull up my screen. Yeah, so I just, this is my last chance to talk about the general plan, but one of the things that I've learned from my discussions with PCBE, and it's really impressed upon me, is this fact that we have a general plan or idealized vision of San Jose, and then we have the zoning that is incongruent. And I know I keep hammering on this, and the state has mandated that we do it, but I just to state again that I've had applicants come into my office and we want to do something that the general plan allows, but we've had the land and the parcel doesn't allow it. So we're paying the city tens of thousands of dollars, I think $10,000 for the application to convert it into the thing that the city wants us to do anyway, and that is a real hurdle for developers and business folks coming in, and it's when they come in that we get the jobs ratio balance that will help increase revenue in the city. Either we raise taxes or we get more consumption, more commerce happening within the boundaries of San Jose. So I've always been a big proponent of reminding my residents to eat at the McDonald's inside San Jose, like 2 exits after the one in Milpitas or whatever, because I really think it matters. And I hope my colleagues will continue to advocate for that sort of thing. I mentioned this now because earlier when we were increasing or implementing the credit card fee, I raised my hand, but I hit the button too late, so we went straight to voting. And I just want to use this opportunity to say that that's an example of something that I think we have to do because the revenues aren't there, but it is, I think, a step in the wrong direction. I hope one day, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years out from now, a future council will be able to be fiscally strong enough to be able to say, we're going to absorb the cost of credit card fees for people who come to San Jose, because the theory of the credit card is you're able to use it, you spend more. At least in grocery stores and Target and other places like that. And I hope it's the same for San Jose, because I did not realize until recently when I was getting to the discussion about fees, is that we're on a cost recovery basis. So when a planner looks at an application, the applicant is paying for the planner's time and the salary and the pension and all that stuff. Whereas in other bigger cities that are inviting and welcome and of business, those are kind of the cost of doing business, the application review and such. And I understand that we're behind the 8 ball in that, so we have to do that. But somehow, some way, I really wish for San Jose that we're able to attract the commerce and the jobs to right the ship and get to a place where we're not operating on a cost recovery model, but that it is just the cost of doing business in San Jose. And we encourage people to apply to do stuff, and we will review their applications for a very minimal fee, if no fee at all. So I'll end there and I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Yep. All right, I think that's it for comments. Was there a motion to accept the report?
Move to approve the report.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Yep's motion. Let's vote.
Mendez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Licardo.
Aye. Okay, we're on to open forum. Congratulations, everyone, for surviving another Tuesday. Scott Mace. Scott, your device appears to be muted.
Can you hear me?
We can now, yeah.
Okay, great. I live in the 100 block of East Reed Street, and I wanted to make this council aware that last Friday night at 10:30 p.m., there was a sideshow at the intersection of 4th and Reed. It was incredibly noisy. It was incredibly smell of burning rubber, and hundreds of young people appeared from out of nowhere. It all happened very quickly. In 10 minutes, it was all done and everybody dispersed. I did not call the police at the time. I was pretty much scared to go beyond my door. I am concerned about this, and I also know in this time of pandemic, the last thing we want is people getting together in this fashion. Maybe they were just whooping it up before the big lockdown, but it was scary, and I wanted to make this council aware of it.
Thank you, sir. I feel your pain. We had a couple of those in our neighborhood as well. All right, those are all the members of the public who wanted to speak, and we wish everybody a very healthy week. We will be back next week. Means adjourned.